The second round of negotiations with Russia will happen in the evening of street fights in Borodyanka, Ukraine. Irpin, the city very close to Kiev, the artillery strike was captured live on camera. University in Kharkov, Ukraine, barricades on the roads. Nuclear warheads by country. Kids in Russia between the ages of 7 and 11 were detained earlier today in anti-war protests in Moscow. What's up, investors? It's the Russian Dude, and this is your 7th day update on Russian-Ukrainian crisis as of March 2nd, 2022, from the perspective of a Russian person. The consequences of military actions in Kharkov, Ukraine. Another TV tower in Lysychansk, Ukraine was under attack. School in Kharkov, Ukraine was under a missile attack. Irpin, the city very close to Kiev, was under attack earlier today. This is the condition of the city of Chernihiv, Ukraine. Nike will make unavailable online sales in Russia. This is the updated map of the countries that have no flight zone with Russian planes. Gas prices in Europe are going up. Shares of the biggest Russian bank are worthless after their decision to leave the London Stock Exchange. Inflation in Europe is accelerating at a higher than anticipated speed. Video from Kharkov, Ukraine. The consequences of street fights in Borodyanka, Ukraine. The Ministry of Defense of Russia acknowledges that the city of Kherson of Ukraine is under the control of Russian military forces. International students in Kharkov, Ukraine are trying to leave the country. Another explosion was spotted earlier today in Kharkov, Ukraine. 86% of Ukrainians support the decision to join the European Union. 76% support the decision to join NATO. China will not join sanctions against Russia. The country will attempt to continue having business relations with both Russia and Ukraine. Ambassador in London assumed that it is a possibility to cut all diplomatic ties with Russia. Representatives of Ukraine announced that the second round of negotiations with Russia will happen in the evening of March 2nd. And if you want to continue receiving daily updates on Russian-Ukrainian situation, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, feel free to share this video with your friends. Thanks so much, and let's continue. The Ministry of Defense of Belarus denies that there is a mobilization in the country, and all the military training that is happening right now was planned in the past. This does sound familiar. General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine acknowledges that military forces of Russia are getting closer to Kiev, and their main goal is to occupy the capital of Ukraine. The artillery strike was captured live on camera. Kharkov, Ukraine. Residential apartment was destroyed. Russian delegation has arrived to negotiations. It is said that Ukrainian delegation will be later tomorrow. Starting today, it is illegal to take out more than $10,000 from Russia. Boeing has halted the delivery of new parts to Russian planes, as well as stopped the maintenance and service. After Iran was cut off from the SWIFT system in 2012, oil production has decreased by 27% and its GDP went down by 7.7% in a single year. More Russian banks are being cut off from SWIFT system. The country of Georgia will apply to be a part of European Union tomorrow, March 3rd. Kids in Russia between the ages of 7 and 11 were detained earlier today in anti-war protests in Moscow. These are current car manufacturers that are not delivering its new cars to Russia. Vegetable prices in Russia went by approximately 50% in a single day. Since there are no more international movies in Russia, all the Russian movies are being shown yet once again in cinemas, and one of them is about the victory of the USSR basketball team over a basketball team from America during Olympic Games in 1972. EA Sports said that it will remove the Russian national team as well all Russian football clubs from its future football games. Apple stores in Moscow were not opened today. University in Kharkov, Ukraine was destroyed earlier today. Zhytomyr, Ukraine, the consequences of airstrikes. Kiev, Ukraine, people are still trying to leave the country. The consequences of street fights in Volnovakh, Independent Republic of Donetsk, recognized by Russia. Citizens of Starobelsk try to prevent the further advancement of Russian military forces. Energodar, Ukraine, the residents are building barricades on the roads. Kharkov, Ukraine, the police station was destroyed. Lysychansk, Ukraine, it was under artillery strike earlier today. today. Russian football player who was previously threatened for not doing anything about the situation released his statement earlier today in his Instagram. He says that he is against the war, and he said that he does not understand why regular Russian citizens who are also against the war are still being threatened. He is against the discrimination of Russians, and also he says that one day the war will be over, but the words we say to each other will forever remain in our memory. The volumes of cryptocurrency and stablecoin transactions using Russian currency ruble are extremely high. These are the estimated numbers of nuclear warheads by country in 2022, while Russia and USA has absolute dominance. These are approximate military spendings by country. The Ministry of Internal Affairs of Germany say that Ukrainian refugees do not need to go through the lengthy process of acquiring the asylum. The protection from the European Union up to 3 years is readily available. These are the subway stations in Kiev, Ukraine. This is how negotiations are held in Ukraine versus Russia. Steam is blocking some purchases of video games from the territory of Russia. Online shopping in H&M in Russia is currently unavailable. Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich says that he wants to sell his football club Chelsea, and all the net income will be used as financial help to Ukraine. Yanukovych, ex-president of Ukraine, who suspended the application of Ukraine to be a part of European Union 2014, says that Russia wants to make him president once again. The currency euro will be prohibited to use in Russia, but this does not apply to individual people. Google Trends on the territory of Russia for the term emigration is at all-time high. There are currently protests in Melitopol, Ukraine. The consequences of artillery strikes in Kharkov, Ukraine. The government of Ukraine is working on the law under which treason and diversion will be punishable by life in prison. Software company Oracle has suspended all its operations on the territory of Russia. The Moscow Stock Exchange was closed both on March 1st and March 2nd. It will also be closed the next day, March 3rd. Jared Leto supports Ukraine. This is the current status of military activities in Ukraine. American Congressman Eric Swalwell says that Russian discrimination is justified and that American universities need to send every Russian student back home. Military dormitory in Kharkov, Ukraine. Konotope, Ukraine. Russian armored personnel carrier is surrounded by its residents. Consulate General of Ukraine in St. Petersburg, Russia, has left the country. According to the UN, approximately 836,000 Ukrainians have fled the country. You can now use subway tunnels to move around the city in Kharkov, Ukraine. Ukraine has received from Germany 500 Stinger missiles and 1,000 Panzerfaust anti-tank rocket launchers. Earlier today there was a vote in UN whether to acknowledge the Russian aggression against the Ukraine, and this is how countries voted. Feel free to pause the video if you want to know how your country voted. People in Moscow, Russia, are still being detained because of anti-war protests. Since the beginning of military events, Ukraine has received more than $40 million of donations in cryptocurrencies. Uber is offering free rides in between Ukraine and Poland. Thank you so much for your support, and until next time.